What's bad, YouTube? And welcome to a whoo-wee stinker. I have a sinus infection and I can smell this one from here. This box is already failing so bad that people are lining up to sell this under $50 on the entire front page with huge quantities of the box saying, take it, please, just let me eat the loss right now and get my money back to pour into Magic and Pokemon. And the cards themselves, atop the set is the ultra rare Holly Sue, which the vendors did call, and the rest of it is falling out even worse. You have the Art Mage Academic Arcane Arts at 23, you have Lunalight Gold Leo at 18, then we're already at 15 with the Ace equals 0, and then the Gorgon here at 10 and everything else under. This reminds me of Chaos Low Impact, except not even as good. You had a complete generic in IP Masquerena that did help it age well over time with that card alone. Then you had Starliege Seyfert, you had Unchained, which aged better than it started at, and this set is just falling out so bad past most people's expectations. A lot of y'all called it would be a stinker, but I don't think y'all called under $50 boxes on launch. This is Shadow Specters bad. Almost. Like, it's close to that at this point. It's a top 10 worst set conversation for sure out the gate. Starlight rares littering the front page aren't true value. Again, you have to mass case open to be able to see those. They're lottery hits, and a lot of these are barely the true price of a box back when we're talking about a solid set. So yeah, this is really shaping up to be bad and has reopened the is YuGiOh Dying conversation to some degree. Paul from Team APS has a more solid take. Yu-Gi-Oh boxes don't seem to have much value lately. Even this new green Duelist set, which are typically known for being a big deal, is this a cause for concern? Yes, absolutely. I replied, alarm bells should be going off for Duelist with how Yu-Gi-Oh product is performing. Period. It means your shops are hurting. I see some typical, well, the economy replies, and I see that a lot in the comment section too. The most expensive metagame of all time is during a recession, one of the worst recessions ever in 2008. Card games are doing well in other sectors. Pokemon, Magic, they are booming, and people are like, oh, that's a one-off. How many times can you keep saying it's a one-off? Yes, this Final Fantasy set, it seems pretty special, but last time it was, oh, Lord of the Rings. They can keep trying to get those collabs and get those injections into their game and fight for their game. And Pokemon, yes, it's a different beast. But you have down here, first off, Farfa saying, isn't it normal for core sets with no good cards to perform poorly? And I start listing off the sets, which we'll do a little more in depth here in a second. Jeff Jones came in and said, when you're competing with Magic, breaking sales records through collabs, and with Pokemon and One Piece dominating the market, Konami can't keep releasing sets like this. The entire structure needs to change. Rarities need to be more thoughtfully placed, and the value has to be there. As a store, we've made the decision to stop buying most Yu-Gi-Oh! Sealed product over the next year. We'll still support sneak peeks, but that's it. Instead, we're putting our money into One Piece and Pokemon because even the worst One Piece set still holds around the $100 a box. It's 2025. There's no excuses for stores to keep getting burned on product they can't move. And when that happens, stores pull away from the game entirely, hurting the local scene and killing community growth. Konami/JP needs to wake up. I think this encapsulates it perfectly. I've said it before too. It's not necessarily going to die or be dying, but they're going to lose a large chunk of the community, and with no gateway back into the game, Master Duels lost its traction. The people who are here are mostly here, and you'll get some people gathering, but more people will be leaving than gathering, as has been the trend. I think when it comes down to it, once you burn that player base, you are going to have to scratch, claw, and fight to get them back. And the 25th promotion was your best chance, and half of those sets didn't do so good out of the 4 rarity collections. And let's talk about the recent sets. Battles of Legend, one of the most named, storied sets in the entire game, and you have a flop here with it out the gate under $50 boxes. Alliance Insight, a core set, is now almost down to Shadow Specter numbers already, and I think the top secret, the Malice card, went from 60 all the way down to like 20. 20. You have Maze of the Master, a world premiere set, which had been the only sets with collector rares continuously successful for the most part. Another failure, another dipping around $40 a box. Quarter Century Stampede, the last successful set, and I use that in quotes, the top MSRP per pack at $6 a pack, is starting to slowly tank, and all of the singles inside, for the most part, are also tanking. It's failed to secure a $100 card out of its entire card pool of max rarity, alter art, crazy things, and even past format cards, like I thought Trap Dust Shoot would be 60, are underperforming to a good degree because people don't want to touch the set and the value is bleeding out of the set. Do I think some of these will age well? Absolutely, over time, especially versus newer sets when people still want to squirrel money into Yu-Gi-Oh! Those that still do anyways. I think they'll start to look at some of these cards over time. Right now, it's a lot of train towards Bonanza instead, though. Supreme Darkness was trying to tread water as a decent set, but was failing to get that $60 mark and is all the way down towards 50 now. And that vicious reprint cycle that Yu-Gi-Oh! Does have is eating into this to some degree. And then finally, we go to the boomer performances. These are some of the only things that can do good in Yu-Gi-Oh! At this. Remember when? Past format? That's a lot of the cards we've been covering. And so new, modern stuff is really floundering, including the game. And that's the core structure of the game. And Konami just tried to shoot past formats in the foot. Like, yes, a Blue Eyes is going to perform exceptionally, but we'll cover other cards. But this is like the most successful thing they've had. And it's locked in a tournament pack to try to get people in the doors to play the modern game that is failing. I don't have too many other words other than I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is in danger of dying, but it's in danger of losing that huge chunk of the player base. And you tell me, how are they going to get it back? But for sure, a terrible, stinky, underperforming core set again. It's been 3 in a row now, and it's 4 back in order to get to a successful set. The Blue Eyes is also going crazy on eBay. Everything's an auction. Every buy it now has sold. And every single one, even the top performing ones, have some corner issue like this top corner. So quality control is another thing plaguing Yu-Gi-Oh! I tried to be extremely fair in my criticisms. Konami's done some good things this year. Improved prizing for once, where we can actually give a golf clap. They've done things that we've been asking for years around certain structures. However, pack structures matter a lot, and we can point back to Eternity Code when they changed that structures, and I was screaming about it at the top of my lungs, and people went, "You're being silly over rares going away." No, I'm not screaming about that. Half the set is hollow, half of it's common. You're getting all these repeat commons. There's never going to be a common that's expensive for a very long time. It would take the sets aging without reprints for so long. And then the top set is so spread out between the holographics that it doesn't make it worth visiting the products as much unless you just load it with different cards that are going to warp a meta, which is what those side sets are doing for the most part. That's why the deck building sets that are successful are able to see a little success, but their set structure is completely screwed over too with how they've changed things. Now, I mentioned Bonanza in past formats. That's where a lot of people are squirreling any money into Yu-Gi-Oh! Stun's back, baby. I know it's been a meme, but $33 over here on Fossil Dino when it was floating 12 for its QCR. Deck Devi QCR was floating 17, 20, and now it's up towards almost 40, and it has its Platinum Secret also starting to go up as well. And I do think a lot of Platinum Secrets are decent to look at while they're cheap, but then they just get way too expensive and they stop moving for the most part as a mid-max. Pot of Avarice QCR has been steady climbing and is now up towards $45 on its big jump. And Call of the Haunted, it is up towards $30 over time. Again, a lot of these are for past formats, which is what people are burying themselves into as modern's floundering so gosh dang bad. And then you have Machine Duplication, also for mostly past formats. It's up towards $16. Mask of Restricts, it can mix into modern. Yes, it's super rare, is towards $15. And when you find something that mixes into both formats, they tend to start overperforming. You do do have Soul Drain here. I believe this is more for hat format. All of its copies are starting to go up, and it just hasn't had a reprint in a long time. Purely, if you recall, has rumors on future support, supposedly, and so it got a lot of its buyouts and push-ups and price. Be aware of that it's still going upwards. Dominus Purge is interesting because we're headed towards reprint season, but it's also headed up through the WCQ season, and again, Stun being so back, it makes a bit of sense. You have Lunalight Kaleido Chick with a ton of buyouts, as Lunalights have been performing for its holographic, and people just buying mass quantities of this to push it up double towards $2, so be aware. Moon of the Closed Heaven, the super rare upgrade here, is headed towards $3+ for the most part. A lot of these don't offer free shipping. And then you have Condemned Dark Lord. I have no clue on this one. Let me know in the comment section down below if you know why. It has really surged up in price over time. One printing, that could be part of it, right? Iron Thunder, we brought this up as a tech that was seeing play and success on the channel a while back. It's had a resurgence in the market around $15. I'm assuming it's seeing some play then as well. And then finally, Lunalight Serenade Dance, probably should have been with the other Lunalight. It is up even further in price, headed towards $15 very quickly. I don't mean to sound like a doomer, and I try to keep things more rationalized, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is on a course to where it's going to stop being carried by a lot of shops again, like we saw in 2022. A lot of shops ended up dropping it because they couldn't take the chain of, like, Lightning Underdrive. You had the Blazing Vortex, I'm forgetting its meme name, Blazing Dumpster Fire, I think it was. And then you also had Dawn of Majesty. I think a lot of people called it, like, just so many bad core sets in a row, and then all the side sets were failing. I feel like I'm having deja vu back towards that, and maybe you are too. Again, if I don't sound like myself all through this as well, I'm a little bit loopier from the sinus meds. Sinus infection is really something I haven't dealt with in a very long time. I think like almost a decade. So it's got me a bit. And finally, the merch watch, though that sounds more like me. I might have caused a buyout. The Rescue Cat sold out over here as Convention Plus. They like pinched the nose on Rabbit and it went forward. And Rescue Hamster are all on the Hot Topic website here. But again, Cat sold out. These are the exact same ones as Toy Temple. They just look like they've been very roughed up for their glams, but they are the same one. Maybe they're seconds or something, who knows, because those retail at $30 and these are under half the price. So if you've been looking for those convention plushes that debuted through that and have been up on Toy Temple, Hot Topic has them, and these shirts are actually pretty darn cool too. And then we also have the debut of the Elemental Hero Shining Flare Wingman Metallic Pop. It's pretty cool to see them continue to get convention exclusives, although they're not the best performing in the world so far. You see here the convention Flame Wingman all the way down to $6.30, and they are selling a lot of their Yu-Gi-Oh pops off even on their own website at like $6. I added this to cart when I got the -1/1 and the Shining Flare Wingman. I'm still a sucker for these things once in a while, and this one got me, to be fair. I just think it looks pretty good. But thanks for watching today's Mostly Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy these more in-depth discussions. I'm always going to give Konami props where props are due, but that means also I have to be fair and really light them up when they're on this continued path of destruction, and it's not looking good. It just isn't. There's no other way to put it. You cannot be doing this to shops over and over and over again and expect them to continue to buy in and carry your product. The Megatons can't keep like trying to scrounge for value and have such ass ratios. That's what it really comes down to. You have thinned out ratios so much, it's not worth it for the average person to open product. It's worth it to buy the singles, and that's why the mantra is so strong now. But when everyone's buying the singles, the pre-sales sell out, and then we're left with the secondary market that's floundering on itself, and it's pretty awful.